Well, all right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar on delivering outstanding end-user experience and adoption for Skype for Business. Today's webinar is being recorded, and we'll be sending a follow-up email with a link to the replay in case you missed something and want to share it with your colleagues. A few things before we get into the webinar. We have a chat window open for questions. Please submit your questions through the chat, and we'll answer them either through the chat or during the Q&A session. And if we run out of time, we'll answer those questions via email and share it with everyone that attended. Following today's webinar, we'll be sending out a survey to all the attendees. It's a brief survey. It shouldn't take you more than 2 minutes to complete. Complete the survey and you'll be entered to win one of 3 Plantronics Voyager 5200 UC headsets. These are great. I use one all the time. So please do take a few minutes to complete that survey. Expect that survey tomorrow or later this afternoon. Okay, today we're going to be talking about driving end user experience and adoption for Skype for Business. We all know that ROI is critical to any new platform deployment, and it's no different for unified communications and collaboration. It has become a business imperative for enterprises of all sizes to have the reliability and performance to increase productivity. Now, Skype for Business is one of those UCC platforms that many of you have or are in the process of deploying. And Skype for Business's ROI depends on the end user experience and adoption. So our presenters today are going to give you an overview of GBH and how our UCC competencies drive end user experience. You'll also see how our partner IR has a solution that provides robust reporting of the end user experience for both cloud and on-prem Skype for Business deployments. So there's a lot to get to. So let me go ahead and introduce our presenters for today. Jay Stevenson, he's the Director of Cloud Solutions here at GBH Global Services. He's going to kick things off. And he's going to be followed by Jeff Broking, the Solutions Engineer with IR. So gentlemen, you're up. Let me start with Jay.
Very good. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. So I want to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about GBH, who we are, what we do, some of the value we provide in the marketplace, and then I'll kick it over to Jeff to go through the actual solutions today. And as Paul mentioned, if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, if you can just kind of get those into the chat window, we'll be more than happy to answer them later. So at a high level, GBH is a UCC solutions company. We've been in business for a little over 30 years. We started out in the audio headset business, and then from there, we moved to the desktop with telephony, then into video conferencing, and then from there into our cloud solutions, and which also includes performance assurance with our Tech Shield and also some of our monitoring solutions. We feel that from a high level, having a competency across the UCC service offering, we're able to provide great value to our customers at each of the potential failure, ensure adoption and quality of service for our customers and users. Paul, next slide, please. So we have created strong partnerships with a number of partners in various industries and verticals to try to drive value. We are proud to say top tier partners with all that you see here. So Polycom. We will also work with Lifesize and Cisco on video conferencing. Microsoft, obviously, most of the cloud solution providers, as well as headset vendors and audio such as Plantronics and Jabra, IR, of course, and then just recently announced is our relationship with Logitech. Paul, next slide, please. So customers at a high level, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. What I wanted to try to share with each of you is we have a strong competency with customers across multiple verticals. To date, we have about a little over 1,000 plus active customers that will either be using us or working with us for one specific solution within their UC service or across multiple capabilities. Paul, next slide. One thing I think is important to note is our investment with Microsoft. As of last year, we became the first UCC partner. Go ahead and build up the slide, Paul. UCC partner of record to be Microsoft Soft certified, which is Skype Operations Framework. So to be clear, we can sell licenses, but what we are finding in the business, typically customers are buying licenses and then from there are being told or they're hiring to individuals to help them deploy their Skype offering. There is a plan that Microsoft put together that created some synergies to help go through the entire process from plan, deliver, and operate. And what we have found is a lot of organizations are either not privy to that information or those that are deploying may not be as well. And what we try to do for our customers and bring value is to help them look at the entire deployment, and from there make sure that all touch points have been thought through in the planning phase so that the deliver and operation can be successful. So our competencies come in the line of UCC design and management, video interop. So if you're thinking about deploying Skype and you want interoperability as an example with your on-premise video conferencing solutions, that's one of the key values, as well as even audio, making sure you're selecting the right headsets and potential monitoring of those headsets. UC device protection we have through our Tech Shield offering for support, monitoring and analytics through visibility and reporting across the spectrum, as well as high quality user experience through what a lot of folks don't think about is the application aware hybrid WAN, SD-WAN capability. So of all the applications running on my networks, which ones could be potentially affecting my service, which could be incurring some challenges for UC experience. Paul, next slide. So my role at GBH, I manage our cloud portfolio, but I also manage the product management and roadmap of our visibility solution. So just at a high level, we support across three key areas. Number one is our Connect solution. So these are cloud meeting solutions. So if you think about solutions like Videxio, BlueJeans, Zoom, Skype, and others, we work with bringing best of class cloud meeting solution offerings to our customer. From a control perspective, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, this is more around application aware hybrid WAN, SD-WAN. And this is where we work with our customers to take a look at all the applications that are running on their network. We then discover them. We help them work through a rules-based technology to categorize them from top tier to lower tier with respect to business criticality. We set the bandwidth associated required to run that solution optimally. We look at all the parameters that can potentially affect it, like jitter, packet loss, latency, server round trip response time, and so forth. We do dynamic path selection so that we can identify which links the solution should run on, WAN optimization if needed, and then we monitor that whole solution. So we're able to actually create a better value prop for ensuring that the applications, especially your UC applications that are running, are efficient and running for each of your individuals or participants across your network. So if you think about Skype for Business for a minute, and you look at presence and text and audio and video, and then web sharing and content sharing, the more you do within that that instance or that session, the more bandwidth that is consumed. Multiply that by even 10% of your audience, and you're finding that if you're not careful with the allocation of your bandwidth across the network, you could be creating problems for your users that could cause an overall bad experience. Paul, next slide, please. Okay, so I apologize, my connection's running a little slow. So with that being said, what I'd like to do is turn the balance of the webinar over to Jeff Broking, who's a solution engineer for IR, so he can go through the modules that we're bringing to market for our customers and prospects. Jeff?
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay. Well, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Jeff Brooking. I'm with IR, Integrated Solutions. I'm based out of Orange County, California. So today I'm just going to go over and show you just a product demonstration, but I didn't create any slides, so just real quick on IR. So our name is IR, but we are integrated research, and I'm going to show you what our platform is under our prognosis suite. So basically what I'm going to focus on today is our UC prognosis application, and specifically focus on the Microsoft Skype for Business side. But before I move into that, I just kind of want to give you an understanding of what we are and what we do. So we are agnostic UC monitoring solutions. So not just Microsoft, but also Cisco and Avaya and most of the major players out there. But we also, to be agnostic and to monitor multiple environments, we have to be, we have to show other things like SBCs, gateways, contact center, call recording solutions. So essentially what we try to do is we try to pull together a lot of these different, devices or technologies and give you that kind of single pane of glass look. So, if your call is going from a Cisco, UC system to an Avaya shop or to another Microsoft Skype for Business deployment, more than likely you're going to have other devices that are in between that, like gateways, SBCs. And so what we do is we take all that information and what we do is put that together to show you the entire call, not just the Microsoft side, not just the Cisco side, and pull all that together to give you that really single pane of glass and make it easier to diagnose issues as they come up. So here what we see is this is our main screen. This is our demo system. So we see everything that we have, that we offer from a company-wide perspective, not just Microsoft. So here you have the major PBXs. We have the Skype for Business system here, and then we also have survivable appliances. We also have the SBCs down here. And then if you scroll down here, we also have the contact center stuff that, if you're interested in understanding how we monitor that as well. But today I'm going to focus on the Microsoft side. So as you can see here, our different platforms come into here, and I can click on the Skype for Business side. And what you see is our, we're an HTML5 compliant application. So you can see us on any modern browser. You can see us on any mobile device. So we really make it easy to see our solution, and no special built-in applications that you have to run. You can do this over any web browser. So the main screen from a Microsoft perspective is the Skype for Business site overview. And so what we're showing you here is really from a hardware perspective. What's going on with your different pools and your different modalities of your pool. So if I expand this more, we can break this down into the different components, right? So you see your front end, your mediation servers, edge servers, things like that. So if I go on the front end, right, I can see the different server pools that we have available, what's kind of from a high level, what's going on from a voice capability. If I click into here and get some more details on the individual servers, I can understand from a hardware perspective, from a memory, from a CPU, what is going on, with those different systems. That could be, causing, from a hardware perspective, issues with user experience and system performance. So if I deep dive into this, I can go in and understand what's going on from a CPU and memory overview, right? We can see the different processes that are going on. Let's say a server team, put in an antivirus software and didn't do the right exceptions, right? And it's causing your servers to overload. So, and it's causing call quality issues. So you can come in from a hardware perspective and see that. And you'll see the different timelines, build out here. You see this as a running real-time experience of what's going on in that environment. I go back into the, let's say, from a conversation level. So we have users that are complaining about calls. I can come into the conversation level, and I can do just a quick search on what's going on with the different calls out there. So, I can see the different calls that are happening either in real time or in, let's say, historical. And it's given me some just basic understanding of what's going on in the call, right? From a jitter, a latency, a packet loss perspective, MOS score information. So I can see from the screen here, we can see that there's quite a few, issues going on, and I can click into individual calls and see what's going on from a, get deep into that call and see what's happening. So I'll go back here. So, from a user perspective, let's say this, we tie into your Active Directory, so we can see, from a licensing perspective, how many people have individual, whether they're enterprise voice enabled, whether remote call controlled enabled. But I can also go into the Active Directory and list out the individual users and, get some information from them as well. So, I can come into here and I can pick T, and I can see the different users here. So I'll just pick on Terry here. So right away, I can list all the calls that we see in for Terry. So you can either put in the search screen the URL of that individual, or you can go through the Active Directory portion and look them up through the alphabetized display. So if I come into here, I can look at Terry's call, and from the very first area, I can see, okay, from a high level, what's going on. How long that call was happening for. Starting stopping time. Whether or not the call was active or completed. I can see whether or not what subnets these calls were both on. So if you're having issues with certain subnets, you can correlate that subnet information to a graph and see, okay, why am I seeing more issues with these certain subnets? I used to be an administrator for Skype for Business, so some of the things that I would look for that was really important to me was transport type, right? So are they calls coming in the right protocols, TCP or UDP? What client version are they on, right? So, I mean, I had, a lot of heartache with some of our desktop teams just getting the right client's versions deployed. So being able to look to see what client version that call is on, as you can see, it's a Microsoft Link 2013 client. Well, why aren't they on the Skype for Business 2016 client? I'll try to talk a little louder. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold, so my voice is a little hoarse. I apologize. So we can also see certain things like microphone and speakers. Are they using a Skype for Business headset? Are they using a certified headset? A lot of times we've all been on calls where someone's using their built-in microphone and speakers from their laptop, right? And it causes issues with the entire call, not just for that one person. We're also seeing some basic information from a network perspective, right? So some latency, some jitter, packet loss. What are we seeing for, are we seeing anything bad there that's happening that could be affecting the call? Are they, if you're seeing a lot of packet loss, are they in an office? Are we sure that the QoS settings are correct? They're set correctly. Is it a certain set? It could be the SBC is not configured correctly. So you would see here, so if we were seeing bad calls, and I'll show you some in a little bit, but if you were seeing some issues, those things would come up right here. So if we scroll down a little bit, the other major portion of this is the network, right? So are we seeing issues on the network side? So most of the tools out there, especially from a Microsoft side, you're not seeing this information. You don't see the trail of the call path, right? So you're not seeing the different network hops. You're not seeing the other side of that SBC as well. So if we look in here, we can see the different hops, where it's coming from, where it's going to. And I'll dive into this a little bit more in a second. But not only can we see that, but we also want to look at, what else is going on with that call? What other devices are being touched? So if I come into this Voice Quality 360, click into here. Load up. So not only are we seeing the network paths, we also want to see the individual voice devices that are in that path, right? So as I said earlier, we're not just pulling information from Skype for Business. We're also pulling in information from your Sonos SBCs, from audio codes SBCs, and also the Cisco side. So we're able to pull all that information and give you that entire length of that call. So if I look at here, everything looks pretty good, but we got a little bit of degradation here. So if I scroll over that, I can see, hey, everything looks good. It's okay. It's not too bad, but a little bit of jitter, but nothing major. But if I want to scroll in there and look into this SBC a little bit more, I can click on it here. and that'll take me to the SBC portion. From here, I can see things like, basic, hardware information, CPU memory, amount of calls that are happening, inbound and outbound. I can tell you which signaling groups are up and running. If I want to go into some voice quality information, from here I can go in, just like from the Skype for Business side, I can see some historical call information. I can come in, go into the historical side. Let's say the call happened 10 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago. I can hit this DVR button and give me some different listings of the calls that were happening at that time. So then if I scroll and get the details, not only do I get the MOS score, the jitter latency, and all that other information, but I also see some important parts of that call path, right? The anchored IP or where the media went in and out of. And I can also tell you, if we're looking at this graph down here, okay, what was the MOS score on each side of that call? Was it not just the Microsoft side, but also from the carrier side as well? Or if you're talking to a Cisco device, I can see where that bad call length is coming in from. Okay, so if I come back to here, and then also from a conference, another piece of adoption is the conferencing section. So we all been on conference calls where like I said earlier, one person is not sounding good, or that they're not other people might be having issues as well. So from a conference experience, I can come in here. Let's look at Oliver's call. See he's on the conference. And right away, I can see, hey, there's an error message going on. And we can see right away that, the reason why he got dropped is because he lost a network. So we're trying to explain to you right away, instead of having digging through log files and other devices, to tell you, bottom line is he lost his network connection. And then we can see some information of maybe why, right? So it looks like he came in wired and external. So to me, that's a signal that he came in on a VPN connection, which is a no-no in the Skype for Business world. We can look at the transport. The other piece is that TCP, and that also tells me more likely came in through the VPN. And then we're also seeing some information from the networks piece. So we can see here we had 30 milliseconds of jitter on this call. We can see, not only was he on bad network experience, but he was also on a very, very old client. So why is this person on such an old release of clients? So now we go back to the desktop team and say, hey, we really need to figure out how we can get all these clients upgraded and understand what's going on. So the other part to this is, okay, so if I'm diagnosing this call, why is Oliver having an issue? Is anybody else having an issue? So now I can have this highlight up here. I can click on this conference ID, and that happens to be the same conference ID when you send out your Outlook message for Skype for Business meetings. And now it's going to pre-populate the search screen, and it's going to show me everybody who was in that conference ID. So now I can see not only Oliver's calls, but I can see everybody else who was involved in that call as well. So yeah, so we have, here's Oliver's information and expected failure that we saw. We're also seeing some information here from other people, so like Michael. We're also seeing that some people are okay. So, this helps me determine, am I dealing with a, external issue? Am I dealing with an internal issue? And, let's say I talk to this person, she goes, yeah, no, I'm in the office. Everything was fine for me. It was everybody else who was out in the office, right? So it helps you kind of determine which direction to start troubleshooting. Is it an outside user? Is it, as we saw with Oliver, he was on a VPN call. That's a no-no. So we could probably start, narrowing our focus on that piece and figuring out why, that person's coming in a direction that they shouldn't be. So let's see here. So other things we can do, we've come into, let's say, a sessions or a subnet area. So we want to see, hey, out of all my subnets that I have listed here, where are my poor performing subnets, right? So here it's a demo system, so we're giving you a little bit worst case scenario, obviously. But, I can come through here and I can pick the different subnets to see, okay, out of those subnets, are most of the people that have, we can look at, see all the calls that are happening in those available subnets, break down and see, okay, yeah, it looks like everybody who's on that subnet's having issues. So we can go through here and, start determining, okay, well, we probably need to involve the network side and figure out, okay, what's going on with those network, with that network subnet and the people behind it. If I come back into here, let's go back and pick on Terry again. If I go back to that call that I've demonstrated earlier, part of the thing that we try to do is give the people that are responsible for the UC environment all the tools that they need, right? So it's one thing to have, yeah, I can see the Skype for Business reports. I can see, yeah, it's great you put all that together from an SBC perspective as well. But a big part of the UC is the network, right? And most of the places that I've been involved with, or most people have been involved with, we don't, the UC guys are not allowed to have any information on the network or what's going on from a network perspective, because that's the network side. So from there, I can click into the details of the network, right? So we have a module that's called Path Insight, and what we do is we, get a read-only access into the network, into the individual network devices, and we're only looking for UC information. We're not looking to be your network monitoring tool. We're not looking to replace any of the tools that the network have. All we're trying to do is give the UC engineer the ability to see what's going on from a high level, from a UC perspective, and then arm them with evidence to say, hey, when there's a problem, what's going on? I can now go back to the network team and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing from my side. Is I'm seeing that anything that's going on through these different switches, we're having issues with. So if I look at these devices, I can come in, I can pick on this guy. I can see that I got a switch here. I can see, what kind of utilization is going on. So, hey, let's say if I would just happen to be on this port 7, well, I got 100% utilization here, and I got my user that's connected through that connection is complaining about their voice quality. So now I can go back to the network guys and say, hey, what's going on this interface? I got a lot of users coming through here, and their call quality is horrible. So now you have that information to go back to the network team and say, hey, here's what's going on. We've got 100% utilization. We can look at some advanced stats and see what time frame we're seeing those calls. So if this call, you have a conference call and people are complaining about a certain time frame, you can actually come in here and say, hey, look, during that conference call, our network was maxed out. So being able to have that information and take it to the network team and really help them pinpoint, instead of just saying, hey, something's wrong with the network, go figure it out. Right now you have the information from a UC perspective side to go in and say, hey, look, this is what we're seeing. Can you go look at this? And it's a lot easier discussion to have with the network team. So some of the other things from a call perspective, which is really helpful, is we have the source and destination paths, right? So if I have the IP addresses from the different sides of that call, I can see what path that took, right? So not only do we see the hop information, but we can also see the stats from each of those individual paths. And in this case, everything looks good here. Scroll down, everything's looking good. And then all of a sudden I get to this portion here. Excuse me, a little jumpy. I can say, okay, well, this is a QoS queue for my voice quality. I don't see any information in here. Why is that? I mean, I should see some information if that's set up to handle the voice quality, right? So if I can go from here, I can look at the different class maps. I can go to this interface directly. And I can see what's going on. Everything looks pretty normal. Duplex is okay. Utilization is okay. I scroll down here and I can see, oh, okay, well, looks like this DSCP marking, or the QoS queue that was built for this, is set up incorrectly. It's set up as a class 45 EE instead of 46 EF, right? And not only do I see that from a graph perspective, I can also see how that was actually programmed. So I could take that information back to the network team and say, hey, look, I can see an issue with the way you build out this QoS policy. This should be 46 and not 45. So that really just helps kind of determine, help the network team not only, with the information, you're armed with the information, but, help them resolve it a lot quicker. And really, that's the whole point, right? It's trying to get through these issues and understand, how we can troubleshoot these, and resolve these issues a lot faster. And so we're being a little bit more proactive instead of reactive in these situations. So I'll come back to here. Let's see, do we have any questions or anything on that before I move on? Okay. So what I'll do is I will, this is our production side. So everything that you saw from the conversations list here, this is all historical. So since this is our demo system, we don't have a live session, Skype for Business deployment connected to it. So this is our actual production side. So same thing you'll see here, but in a live situation, when in live calls or real-time calls, you'll see this active blue bubble. So if I come into here, you can filter out all my active calls. So if someone's saying, hey, I'm in a conference call with so-and-so, we're currently on here, we're seeing a lot of issues, you can actually go in and see those issues live. So other things I can see as well, let's see, let's pick on somebody. So if I scroll in here, let's build out a second. Time out? No, there it goes. Come on. All right, well, I'll move on. I'll move on from there. I'll come back. So another offering we have provide is for Office 365 users. So today, really, the only tools that are out there for Office 365 is the built-in ones for Microsoft. So, and for small deployments, small business type of things, it could be fine because you're not dealing with a lot of sites or you're not dealing with a large infrastructure. But when you're dealing with a large infrastructure, the tools that Microsoft provides are really limited just to what Microsoft sees. So what we did is we took that information that they provide and we built our own interface and then tied it into our on-prem solution as well. So most companies do not have 100% Microsoft. Most of them have either some sort of SBC located, they have some cloud connected, or they only have a few users that are Office 365 or their hybrid environment. So what we do for those users is we provide the same look and feel, but this online, it's called Skype for Business Online Troubleshooting Tool. So if I put in the user's name, put in a time frame, run the search. I knew that was going to happen, sorry. There we go. So run the search, and what that'll do is give me that same conversation look that we showed you earlier. There we go. Okay. So I put in John, this is our demo system as well. So I put in John Citizen, I put in the time frame, and I can see the list of all the calls. One of the things that we did differently with this, and we are going to bring this to our on-prem solution, is we put a little bit more information over here about what's going on from a call quality. So not only did we do the packet loss, the MOS scores, and latency information, but we also added things like certified headset. So what we did is we put in a list of headsets that Microsoft qualifies as certified, and then we ran it, run our database against that. And if anything doesn't come up on that list, we just deem that headset non-certified. So if I come in here, I can also see the different. So this is a conference call. So if I expand this, I can see all the participants on that conference call. Then we give you some more information about, mostly that call was pretty good. So green is good, yellow is okay, and obviously red is bad. So if I scroll down here, same thing from a video side, and then also from score information. So if I click on this call, let's say, so same look and feel as what you saw from the on-prem version, right? So Microsoft headset was not certified. We also provide a link to a the list of headsets that are also certified, and then we can also provide you customize that link to go to your service provider as well if you want to order more. But same look and feel, right? So duration of the call, client version being used for that, what's the host information, all the normal audio, or voice over IP statistics that you expect. So the packet loss, jitter, latency, what kind of codecs we're using. And then as you can see here, when we talked about, so it looks like the headset and microphone were used from the PC and not a certified microphone. So you come down here, and then also the same thing, right? So we give you that hop by hop information of how that call got to either that user or to Microsoft services. And then we see that information coming back as well. So from here, so yes, Microsoft does provide a list of that hops, but it doesn't actually provide you what's actually going on from a network perspective. So from here, I can click on the individual calls, and I can take you back to this network location on-prem, and I'll take you into the individual device that could be causing the issues from a Skype for Business Online UC perspective. So I've got a few more minutes before we get into QA. So another thing that we want to talk about was our assessor product. So it's one thing that most companies have to figure out what's it going to be like what's the user experience going to be like when I go to either Microsoft Online or to Microsoft Teams. Or even from a site perspective. So what we created this UC Assessor cloud version. So this is a network assessment that tool that we built out with Microsoft's help to give that. We are one of the only authorized providers for this advanced network assessment from Microsoft. So we come in here and we can build out, let's say, we test all our offices. We come here and do different tests from either Skype for Business Online to different offices, Microsoft Teams to different offices, or we can go site to site. So if I come into here, I can view this assessment that we've been running. And what we do is we come in here and we load these small, lightweight agents in individual sites. And we set up what type of test we want to run and how long it was running. So if we come in here, so we put this on 2 offices here, and we ran a test for 4 days. And obviously we didn't meet that SLA. And we knew we wouldn't because this office is in London and we don't have a big connection over there. So, but we can see, okay, well, what happened? Why did I fail, right? So we can see that we didn't pass the different, the latest test is we were 100% packet loss. Packets were out of order, or the latency was too long. And we can not only see that, what's wrong, but we can also see the path that it took. So we can see the different network hops that are available for this type of calls. And we've also, as we did on the Skype for Business side, connected to our network side and be able to pull in that path insight network troubleshooting test. So if I come in here, takes me to our on-prem solution. And if this network matches, we go in here and then we take us to our path insight, our available list of devices out there. So let's see. So real quick, I saw there were some questions up here. So here, building up. Sorry, I'm on a VPN connection, so it's a little slower than normal. But as you can see here, right? Okay, so why do we have such a failure? Well, we had a 99% packet failure rate or packet error rate. So, what does that mean? So I can click down here. I can look at the different packet loss periods. I can see the latency. And if I come down here, I can see, well, what are all these packet errors that we're having? So I can come down here and say, hey, look, we've got a bunch of single collision failures. I can click on there. Gives me a little academic, definition of what that means. And all it gives you a definition, but it tells you, what are the causes and how you can fix that. So a little bit useful information you can go back with to the network team. Okay. So that's a high level overview. Obviously, if we can get a lot deeper into this. So if anybody's looking for more information, please get with Jay and the team, and then we can schedule individual maintenance or individual demos for you guys. So real quick, I saw some questions. Jay, do you have anything you want to say while I'm looking up them?
Okay, guys, we'll just jump into the Q&A since we're at 11:40. So one of the questions that came through the chat is if I was a GBH customer and IT admin, will I have access to a dashboard management console? If not, what tools will I have, if any? And Jay or Jeff, any one of you can jump in and answer that.
Yeah, I think that's more of a GBH question. This is our dashboard. I think the question is, does GBH provide that dashboard for their customers?
Guess we don't have Jeff. I can answer that. And Frankie, I don't know, are you on the call? You could do it as well. But the short answer is yes. You will have the access to the same dashboard. Now, Frankie is our senior engineer, and he is on the call as well. So, Frankie, can you add to that, please?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we do actually have our cloud service in which you would be able to access the exact same thing that Jeff was showing.
Perfect.
Okay, great. Another question, what kind of call quality issues do you get visibility into with IR?
Jeff?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. So the call quality issues are going to be it's going to be related to the network side, packet loss, latency, jitter. Right. We're going to show you the MAT and MOS scores. We're going to see the different network paths or segments associated with that call, and then any components that are in between. So, like I said, gateways, SBCs, and then it could be something as well. We could look at it could be client issues, right? So are you dealing with some client issues? Are you dealing with headset issues? We also have the ability, if it's on-prem version, to look into the actual PC and see what kind of services are running and see if there's anything going on from a local PC perspective.
Okay, great. How quickly can the solution be deployed?
That really depends on the environment. So from most of our customers, I'd say from 1,000 to 5,000 users, if they're, let's say they're all in the United States, we can usually get this out and deployed in about 2 or 3 days. We do not, one thing that's unique with us is we are not a probe environment. So we are a completely 100% software solution. So we do not put any network taps or anything out into your environment which prolongs the amount of time it takes to install this. And this can be installed on a virtual server, so if you get a high-end virtual server, we can, like I said in my example, we can usually use a single server with as our monitoring and our administration services.
Great. How do we get started? What's the process?
So the process, I think that would be more of a GBH question, but I mean, from our end, what we do is, depending on how this, how you wanted it deployed from GBH, whether it's a managed service or if it's an on-site solution, that would start the process. And then once it got to us, we would be the expertise or the professional services leg up for GBH.
Right, and this is Jay, and I'm sorry, earlier I was muted. That's it, just you'll contact your sales associate or enterprise sales manager, and we'll set up the call to get started on the assessment, the analysis, and then from there, we'll put together the project plan.
Okay, great. There's another question. Are most Skype for Business users aware of solutions like IR Prognosis, the system? Are there comparable other solutions in the marketplace?
Yeah, I believe most from an administrative perspective, I think most are aware of the different offerings out there. I see, we are in the Gartner Magic Quadrant obviously, but I think there's the Microsoft. What we do is we try to enhance on the Microsoft free tool. Which is very limited to what Microsoft can see. So how we differentiate ourselves from the free tool is we give you the complete call. We don't just give you the Microsoft Skype for Business side, right? So a lot of times, like I said earlier, is that there's more equipment involved, and there's more, there's obviously network equipment, but there's usually SBCs, there's usually gateways, there's usually some kind of cloud connect that Microsoft doesn't provide you that information or tell you how to troubleshoot.
Okay. Can you trial prognosis on the network?
Yes, you can. Yeah, and again, this is one of the things that if you can get in touch with myself or the SM you're currently working with, the GBH, we could work through the process to get a trial set up.
Okay, great. There's another question that came through. Why should you not use a VPN for Skype for Business?
Oh, so VPN, real quick. VPN is obviously encrypts the traffic. So the Skype for Business traffic is already encrypted natively. So when you run a Skype for Business traffic through VPN, it's going to be double encrypted. And what happens is it prolongs the amount of time that call gets de-encrypted and pushed through the VPN device. So that causes call quality issues. And that's what edge servers are for. So edge servers are, for that outside connection. And that's what, the service that they provide. And usually VPN devices do not honor any QoS. So any traffic, is going to be just treated like regular internet traffic.
Okay. And there's a lot of information today. So Jay, can you briefly just explain how IR ties into visibility, GBH's solution?
Well, currently the IR solution is a standalone solution that is that we're representing to help support our customers' Skype for Business visibility. Our visibility solution, as we mentioned earlier, currently works with our audio video conferencing and cloud meeting solutions, and the objective is to align those solutions down the line. But for now, we have a separate dashboard that we run for the Skype for Business offerings from IR.
Great. That's all the questions we have for now. If anyone else, we have a few more minutes on today's webinar. If you have more questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat or in the Q&A section.
And we have Jay's email right there on screen, and we'll provide that information in the follow-up email as well. So if you want to get started, start the conversation on an evaluation, Jay's the person to get started with.
Absolutely. Be more than happy to help.
Well, I guess that's it. So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. As I said earlier, you will be receiving a follow-up email with a link to a brief survey. Please do take a minute or two to complete that survey. Be entered to win one of those 3 great headsets from Plantronics. And we look forward to speaking with you more about the IR prognosis and helping you drive ROI for your Skype deployments. Thank you.